What if the most dangerous car on the 2026 grid was the one nobody fully understands? Because Adrian Newey isn't just designing Aston Martin's next Formula One car. He's redesigning how a Formula One car thinks. And the scariest part? He's not showing his hand. Early reports suggest something unusual. A level of aerodynamic stability during hybrid transitions that shouldn't be possible. A chassis that behaves like it already knows what the engine is about to do. And silence. Total silence from the FIA, from rivals, from the factory itself. No protests. No leaks. Just quiet confidence. And if that doesn't set off alarms, it should. Because this isn't just another Newey car. This is the one that might break the sport without ever breaking a single rule. The official story is clean. Aston Martin, now a works team with Honda. A new power unit. A new car. A new era led by Adrian Newey. After Red Bull, after 9 constructors' titles and generations of dominance, Newey's arrival at Silverstone wasn't just a coup, it was a declaration. This team isn't here to play for fourth anymore. He's been given full control over the 2026 project. No compromises. No legacy design carryovers. This is a car built entirely for the new era. Lighter, leaner, 50% electric, with active aero and severely restricted fuel flow. The factory calls it the AMR 26. But insiders call it something else. The Newey experiment. Because what's being built in Silverstone doesn't resemble a typical development program. There's no public performance goal. No fixed expectation. No bravado from Stroll or press noise from the team. Just quiet, deliberate work. Wind tunnel cycles. Private simulator sessions. And drawings, yes, actual hand drawings from Newey's office that no one outside the core team has seen in full. That silence has been interpreted as focus. But now, people are starting to wonder, is it focus? Or is it the deliberate containment of something the sport hasn't seen before? Because the car is real. The power unit is coming. And the man behind it all has a history of hiding innovation until the very last moment. If there's one thing engineers agree on about the 2026 regulations, it's this. They're unstable. 50% hybrid power means heavier batteries. Reduced fuel flow means less margin for thermal error. Active aero means balance is dynamic, not fixed. And yet, early traces of Aston Martin's car suggest none of that is causing a problem. How? How is it that, in a regulation cycle designed to challenge even the best, Adrian Newey's car is behaving as if the problems don't exist? According to sources close to 2 rival teams, simulator footage from Aston Martin's private sessions shows a car that transitions between energy states without the expected instability. When the ERS deploys, there's no front-end dive. No snap oversteer. No strange torque imbalances. It just moves cleanly, quietly, predictably. And that's not normal. Every other team is dealing with chaotic hybrid integration. Drivers are reporting hesitation, unbalanced power curves, and thermal inconsistencies that make corner exits unpredictable. But Aston Martin? Nothing. No complaints. No warnings. Just silent telemetry, and a very specific kind of confidence. This is where people inside the paddock start asking harder questions. Not about legality, there's nothing illegal here. But about architecture. Because if the AMR 26 is behaving as if it knows when and how the energy system will respond, then we're not looking at a clever cooling layout or an efficient chassis. We're looking at a car built on predictive behavior. A machine that's not reacting to instability, but avoiding it altogether. And if that's true, then Newey hasn't just solved a problem. He's avoided the problem the rest of the grid is still fighting to understand. This is where the story turns. Because the fear isn't just about performance. It's about timeline. Newey's car might not be dominant out of the box. It doesn't have to be. What matters is that it's ahead of the curve structurally, conceptually, and psychologically. Most teams are treating 2026 as a learning year. They expect problems. They've built in time for failure, compromise, adaptation. In some cases, they're already planning B-spec chassis before the first race. But Aston Martin? They're not reacting. They're positioning. Every detail of the AMR 26 suggests a platform, not just a car. A concept designed to last multiple seasons. Flexible aero surfaces. Modular cooling systems. Pre-planned upgrade slots embedded in the floor and engine cover. This isn't a sprint to the first podium. It's a setup for total grid redefinition. And that's what's making people nervous. Because this kind of thinking doesn't come from trend analysis. It comes from someone who's already seen the consequences before they arrive. Adrian Newey isn't designing against the 2026 rulebook. He's designing against what the 2026 rulebook will look like once everyone realizes what they missed. He's always done this. In 1998, when everyone was still understanding narrow-track cars. In 2009, with double diffusers. In 2022, with underfloor airflow exploitation. And now? He's done it again. But this time, at a team that has never had a platform this complete, this funded, or this untouchable. Aston Martin isn't just hiding a fast car. They're hiding a head start. And by the time anyone figures out how far ahead they are, the season may already be lost. Something strange is happening in the paddock. The AMR 26 has been quietly unveiled. No flashy livery launch. No bold marketing. Just a few technical renderings, one cryptic press release, and a lot of silence. And silence is never neutral in Formula One. When a car looks fast, rivals dissect it frame by frame. When a concept looks dangerous, they ask questions, file concerns, leak suspicions to the press. But Aston Martin? No one's challenging them. Not Red Bull. Not Mercedes. Not even Ferrari, who never miss an opportunity to throw legal shade if they sense an illegal edge. Why? Because no one knows what to protest. The car doesn't look illegal. There's no obvious innovation to latch onto, no double diffuser, no DAS, no flexible wings. Nothing visible. But watch closely, and something feels wrong. Not in a cheating sense. In a we don't know what we're looking at sense. Engineers are studying the floor shapes, the cooling exits, the flow patterns. But the numbers don't line up with what they expect. Telemetry estimates from shared testing data suggest heat dissipation far beyond normal thresholds. Yet no extra vents. No oversized radiators. No drag penalty. It's a contradiction. And when Newey creates contradictions, it's usually because the solution isn't on the surface. It's underneath. Underneath the floor. Underneath the suspension arms. Maybe even underneath the FIA's radar, not illegally, but so cleverly that it bypasses conventional thinking. This is why the paddock is quiet. Not because they're calm. Because they're confused. Because no one wants to admit they don't understand what they're seeing. Not yet. And if history is any guide, that silence won't last much longer. It will break. When the car hits the track. When the lap times don't match the visual drag profile. When the tire degradation doesn't follow expected curves. Then, and only then, will the grid realize. Aston Martin isn't hiding innovation. They're hiding dominance. The scariest part of the AMR 26 isn't what it does in Bahrain. It's what it sets in motion for the next 5 years of Formula One. If this car performs even modestly, it will force a reckoning. Because suddenly, the design assumptions made by teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and even Red Bull will look cautious, outdated, conservative. And if that happens, the power balance won't just shift. It will collapse. Because the 2026 regulations were designed to level the playing field. Less aero dependency. Less top speed disparity. A more sustainable, efficient, hybrid-forward sport. But what if Newey has already beaten those rules? What if he's interpreted them not as limitations, but as opportunities? Then Aston Martin becomes more than a team. They become a template. You won't be able to copy them, not directly. You can't replicate Newey's vision from CAD files or wind tunnel data. But you'll have to respond. Ferrari will have to restructure their aero department. Mercedes will have to revisit their engine chassis integration. Red Bull, who have built an empire on Newey's philosophy, will be forced to evolve without him. And that takes time. More than a season. More than 2. That's how long it could take to undo the head start Aston Martin may already have. And here's the kicker. Even if this car is only a podium contender in 2026, its philosophy could shape Aston Martin's dominance for years. Because what Newey has built isn't just a car for one regulation cycle. It's a modular concept designed to be iterated, adapted, and refined across multiple seasons. A foundation, not a spike. And if that foundation is strong enough, then by 2027, we may no longer be talking about Aston Martin as a surprise. We'll be talking about them the way we used to talk about Red Bull in 2010, or Mercedes in 2014, as the team that figured it out first, and left everyone else catching up. So what happens now? We wait. For the first test laps. For the first qualifying session. For the first time, the AMR 26 enters a high-deg circuit under real pressure. That's when we'll see it. Or maybe we won't. Because the brilliance of Adrian Newey has never been about what's obvious. It's about what you can't quite measure until it's already too late. The biggest fear in Formula One isn't losing races. It's not understanding why you're losing. And that's the trap Aston Martin may have already laid. If this car performs, even modestly, if it shows signs of consistency, reliability, efficiency across variable conditions, then the alarm bells will ring. Not because Aston Martin is winning, but because teams will realize they've spent 2 years solving the wrong problem. And when that happens, It won't just trigger redesigns. It'll trigger doubt. Doubt in simulations. Doubt in leadership. Doubt in engineering hierarchies built around assumptions that Newey has just shattered. And that doubt? That's what spreads fastest in Formula One. Faster than rumors. Faster than updates. Faster than lap time. Because once you believe you've missed something critical, you start driving defensively. And that's where dynasties end. Not with a crash, but with a quiet hesitation in a development meeting, a cancelled upgrade, a shift in focus that never quite catches up. That's the real danger of the AMR 26. Not that it's unbeatable, but that it's uncatchable because it never ran the same race. And if that's what Adrian Newey has built, if that's what Aston Martin is hiding, then the next era of Formula may first have already begun. And no one even noticed.